Another returnee by popular demand is Professor David Koilpillai, Dean Planning. His presentation on rankings last year cleared up many misconceptions among those willing to listen. He'll update us now and also fill us in on IITM's development plans. Can you please come and share a few words?
I'm David Koilpillai, batch of 1984, and I'm really delighted to have this opportunity to share with you a few thoughts on our global rankings and what is happening at IIT Madras as far as infrastructure is concerned. So next slide please. So whether you're celebrating your silver, ruby or golden reunion, congratulations and welcome back to IIT Madras. And we are happy that we can share with you a little bit about what has happened since you have graduated, and also a peek into what is coming ahead. Next slide please. So I'll cover two parts in my presentation. The first one is what is happening as far as the benchmarking is concerned, the global rankings. A quick look at the latest statistics. Look at the metrics that the rankings, different ranking agencies are doing, and what is the IIT Madras strategy. I also like to touch upon very briefly on the status report on the IIT Madras infrastructure and some of the exciting projects that are going on. Next slide please. So IIT Madras today, probably very different from the IIT that you studied in. 16 departments today, the number of students stands at 8,110. The number of postgraduate students is actually more than the number of undergraduate students. We have about 540 faculty, and with plans to grow through aggressive recruiting, active recruitment to a number like 750. So the focus is increasingly on the postgraduate students. So by postgraduate, I'm referring to the final year of the dual degree, the MTech students, the MSc, MS, MBA, and then the PhD students. So the combined strength of the MS and PhD students today out of the 8,000 is about 1,650 students. So you can see that the shift is happening, is continuing to happen, and the growth is happening primarily in the postgraduate area. So given this scenario, research becomes an extremely important component for IIT Madras as we look ahead. Next slide. So I'm sure each of you would have seen our Director's Strategic Plan 2020, and one of the points that I've taken out from there is that we want to be as well known for research as IIT Madras is known for its undergraduate teaching. And so with this goal in mind, let's look at where what the rankings are and where do we stand, and how do we interpret it and how do we take it forward. Next slide. Whenever we talk about rankings, the three top names that come into the in discussion are the academic ranking of world universities. This is by Shanghai Chaotung University, started in 2004. Then Quacquarelli Simons, again around the same time period, probably the most widely referenced ranking system, and also the Times Higher Education. There are a host of other rankings, but these are probably the top three. There are several regional ranking systems. Our policy has always been to provide all the information that the ranking agencies ask. We don't differentiate, we give the entire set to all the ranking agencies. And we are also looking at the tools that these ranking agencies are using, tools like Insights and SciVal. Next slide. So let me pick up QS rankings, because that is one of the most widely cited and referenced rankings. They have two types of rankings. One is global as well as regional rankings, and within region we have Asia, Latin America. So we basically by regional there is also ranking, and IITs are listed both under global and under Asian rankings. And the method used by QS is to broadly classify the faculty into 5 faculty areas: arts and humanities, engineering and technology, life sciences and medicine, natural sciences, social sciences and management. So basically the acronyms, please keep those in mind, because later on we'll be looking at some of the numbers that correlate with that. And one of the points to be noted is that though our predominant strength is in the engineering and technology area, we do have a presence in the other segments, but IITs is ranked as a comprehensive university with weightage for all the components. Next slide. The rankings use metrics, and these metrics are weighted in order to come up with the eventual score which decides on the rank. One of the things that carries a very significant weight in the QS rankings is the academic reputation survey. It's a questionnaire that is sent out to a large number of people around the world, and we as institutions can propose names to whom they can send. Of course, QS will make the final decision out of their database, and so the academic reputation has 40%, and then we have citations per faculty, the faculty-student ratio, and another survey of employer reputation, and the internationalization has a smaller component. So basically these are the weightings. And maybe one point that I would like to mention, because we will come back to this aspect, is that as part of this survey, when a person responds to the survey, of course, if a person to whom it goes does not respond, I mean, their inputs are lost. So one of the things we have suggested, our alumni who are in academia, or distinguished alumni, and those are the names that we have suggested. And if any of you do get a survey, please do respond. The other aspect is whenever a person from a particular region responds to the survey, they get to rank their perception of universities in their own region, except their own, and also they get to pick the top 5 from the rest of the world. So it is very important that somebody who is outside the Asian region, who is ranking it, is aware of the IIT system in India, and of course is very specifically aware of the IIT Madras contributions here. So the rankings are significantly influenced by the people's perception and of course their understanding of what IIT Madras, what we do here at IIT Madras. Okay, we talked about global rankings. Next slide. Asian rankings, similar metrics, but again slightly different weightages are given. Again, this could mean that your global ranking and Asian rankings may not always tally. There could be some differences between the two, but by and large they will correlate. One point to mention is that our faculty to student ratio is 1:12, which is comparable with the best universities around the world. So that is one area where we are scoring very highly. So this is a snapshot of the metrics and the weightages given to the different metrics. So what about the other two rankings? Next slide, please. The academic ranking of world universities. Take a quick look at the weightages given, similar metrics, but the two that are highlighted, one is Nobel Prize and Fields Medal. That carries 20% of the weightage. So right off the bat, you recognize that some universities where there are a large number of Nobel laureates are going to be in the top and will not be moved from there. Universities like Cambridge, Harvard. So this is everybody recognizes that yes, there are good metrics, but this is a very stagnant ranking system because you will not see any dynamism. The top universities will continue to remain there. On the other hand, the Times Higher Education is very similar to QS. Of course, they have slightly different weightages given. They seem to weight more the citations because their focus is on the publications and citations. So again, very useful to look at what they're doing, how do we score on their metrics, and then what we can take away from the numbers that come about. So from the IIT Madras strategy, we are looking at the numbers coming out of all the 3 major ranking systems. Again, the weightages differ. We don't have a say in that, but we look at what metrics we have, what numbers we have scored in each of these metrics. So now let me go back to the QS and just make a few observations, and that will sort of summarize where we are as far as the rankings are concerned. Next slide, please. So here is the rankings for 2014. There is a general statement that every time rankings come out, none of the IITs are in the top 100. We are not world class. All of that is there. But I believe you must, when you talk about rankings of IITs, you must look at engineering and technology, because that's the sector where we are dominant, and that's the sector where there is a global ranking for engineering and technology, and as you can see, we are very much in the top 100. And the rankings are IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay, and that's the global ranking. IIT Madras is currently at number 70 globally for engineering and technology, and in the Asian ranking it's 19. So a little bit curious to say, we are very similar to IIT Bombay. How come there is a difference? So we dug into it a little bit. we found that this year there was an error that the QS had made. They had two entries. One was IIT Madras and IIT Chennai. So again, what impact it had, we don't know. They're not able disclosing it to us. They said they will fix it for next year. They said, you know, it made a marginally change the rankings, but again, that is something that we will fix going on. But in spite of that, I want to celebrate the fact that our civil engineering is in the top 50. It has been there in the for the past few years, and now the strategy would be how do we pull the rest of the institute into the top 50. So from a strategic plan, what would be the goal in the top 50 in across the different disciplines is something that seems very very achievable. Again, with the strategic plan, as I will outline, we will see the growth towards that. Of course, we need to make sure that the data that they have is accurate. Again, some small mistakes like this are avoided. Another aspect that we noticed was that whenever a person outside the region is ranking the global universities and he says Indian Institute of Technology, they all show up in the following order: IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, and you know we are somewhere down there. Out of the oldest 7 IITs, you know, IIT Madras is right at the number 6 on the list. So unless a person is deliberately looking for IIT Madras, they may pick the wrong one, and of course some of them you know, do not differentiate. Some of the people say, oh, IITs all are same. No, that's not the same. The rankings do matter. So that is something that we have noticed, but again, it's alphabetically listed, so I don't know whether we can do anything about it, but that is something that we have talked to QS about. So these are minor things that we are addressing, again, to make sure that what is reflected is truly what is the correct recognition of IIT Madras. Next slide, please. This slide is important because this really tells us across the 5 sectors that QS ranks, we do not have a ranking for 3 of the areas as of for 2014, because only if you are in the top 350 you will get a rank there. Now, but if you're ranked as a comprehensive university, there is weightage. You have to have a presence in all these sectors. So clearly, given our emphasis on engineering and technology, what does make the most sense is the engineering and technology column. Again, the numbers there is what I would like to focus on. You may ask the question, hey, it looks like we were making good progress till 2013. What happened in 2014? Again, there is an issue with the data that was looked at. We are looking at the numbers very, very carefully, and again, we will make sure that going forward that is addressed. Earlier this month, there was a announcement from the Times Higher Education that they had come out with a new ranking for the BRICS countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So next slide. So the print is a little bit small, but I just want to highlight the fact that there are 4 major columns: teaching, international outcome, industry income, research, and citations. Research and citations are papers and the number of citations for papers. So sort of take them in tandem. This is the listing that Times Higher Education came up with, and of course there was several comments made in the press. You know, the IITs are not as good as they claim to be, and all sort of negative comments. But this is the standings. IISc is leading. Again, keep in mind that Times Higher Education does give a very strong weightage to publications and citations. So you can look at that column. Whatever is there in the research and citations sort of tends to dominate the overall rankings as well. But important to note that in the industry income column, IIT Madras is by far the leading institution. And if you look at the teaching, internationalization, all of the other metrics, we are doing well. But point taken that, you know, we need to look at our numbers as far as publications and citations are concerned. So this is a summary. We are the leading in industry income. We have a strong score as far as international outlook is concerned. We're very competitive in the teaching area, but we do look at the research and citations. There are some anomalous data. For example, other ranking agencies have pointed out that Punjab University has a very low score on research. That means number of papers are small, but they have certain international collaborations which get cited, like the one at CERN, and therefore there is a skewed ranking. So again, if you remove the anomalous things, we are behind IIT Bombay and IIT Kharagpur. Again, there is a question, okay, times QS put IIT Delhi on top. What happened to IIT Delhi? Again, these are numbers that fluctuate. So I think the more important thing is to look at the specific metrics and say that, okay, what can you take away from that, and therefore drive a certain strategy. Okay, so this is a snapshot of what is happening as far as the QS and the Times Higher Education, and certain reasonable interpretations of the data. Of course, we have done a lot more due diligence as far as the drilling down and understanding the details. So the next slide, please. So our Dean Academic Research has done fairly extensive data mining and has looked at the specific numbers. Again, these are across institutions, IIT Madras, all the IITs and Institute of Science. This is looking at citations per publication. Again, you need to break it down more by discipline, because again, that's what will give you better insight. But it's good to know that there are several IITs who are doing similar work to us, but have more citations. And then you look at it, many of them have multi-institutional publications, whereas a majority of IIT Madras publications are, all the authors are from IIT Madras. So again, this is an observation that we have made. This is something that we will look at. Looking at, next slide. We also look at it across disciplines. Now what is one of the things that we have done is to look at the top 50 universities in the global rankings in a particular discipline, let's say electrical engineering. Where are the faculty in these top 50 universities publishing? And whether we are publishing in the same top 50 universities where they are publishing. So that tells us that we are playing in the same league. And then if you have enough number of publications, then the citations will improve, everything will grow. So a stable department like the maroon, which is in the middle, that's electrical engineering, it is 66.9% of our publications if you look at the average over the last 10 years, and then it has gone up to 71% if you look at the last 5 years. 70% of our publications are in the same journals as the top 50 universities, the leading publications. So again, in the right ballpark, maybe we can move it up to 75 to 80, but it gives us good insight. Of course, some departments can bring up the percentages a little bit more. So to summarize, the next slide, the strategy. We understand the metrics. We understand the different systems like the QS, the Times Higher Education, and the ARWU. We find that some of the metrics are indeed aligned with IIT Madras strategic goals, and those we will really drill down and make sure that we are given credit for that. And of course, we are also doing that. Some of the specific initiatives that we have taken, one of course you saw the extensive data collation. There's also a team of deans who are mentoring the faculty in terms of the publications, in terms of the high impact factors, and also we are looking to purchase a benchmarking tool which gives us a constant running picture of how we are doing respect to some of our peer institutions. We are going to focus on engineering and technology. That is our core strength, and the goal is to bring that into the top 50 as soon as we can. Though there is a lot of expectation that why didn't you respond when somebody made a wrong statement about that. Our goal has been not to have any knee-jerk reactions whenever the announcements come. Look at the data, interpret it, and of course anyone who's willing to listen, we give them a reasonable explanation. We do have a small committee that looks at the strategy for rankings, and definitely the rankings do not, as one of the article written by our director pointed out, some of the things that IIT is doing which are not high in terms of rankings. For example, the latest the GSLV launch. Several of our faculty have been involved in that and have contributed not only to the GSLV but also to the crew module. A lot of the testing was done at IIT Madras. Now these sorts of nation building work, the fact that we are contributing to DRDO, the fact that we are driving the national program on technology enhanced learning, those are not credited, but again these are important to us, so therefore we will not change our strategy on that. So that is a quick look at the rankings, and how do we see the rankings moving forward in the future. We have several centers of excellence that have come up in the last 2 years. You can see the list. Again, the goal that IIT Madras and our director has said that at least 2 major centers will come up each year. And this will drive research, will drive publications, and therefore we will see the rise in terms of the citations for our work. So if I were to summarize it in one statement, next slide. So the transformation is happening as we speak. We will shift our focus towards postgraduate and research while retaining the excellence. So basically we are adding a new dimension to our work. So this is the a snapshot of rankings and the interpretation of that, and how it aligns with the director's strategic vision. Now, what does the growth happen when we talk about growth in students, student numbers? How is that going to affect? So growth in terms of students means more hostels. We do now have a higher percentage of women who are enrolling. More academic labs, buildings, which means more students means more faculty offices, research labs, more housing on campus. So this is a period of growth for IIT Madras. How are we managing it? Next slide. This is the commitment that we have made both in the strategic plan and prior to the strategic plan, that we will grow, but we will preserve the beauty of the campus. So I believe that as you have opportunity, you should walk through the campus and see, because this is a campus that we will retain the charm that you see today, the greenery and the cover. So the campus, as you all know, is very rich in terms of its biodiversity. We have native plants that have been brought from the outside, huge numbers of butterfly, birds and mammalian species. So again, this is something that we are blessed with. We definitely want to preserve it for the generations to come. And of course, several initiatives that we have taken, massive effort on recycling, ban on plastics, no powered vehicles in the student sector. So a lot of things that we are implementing so that we can be good stewards of what has been entrusted to us. So growth in this constrained environment, next slide, happens through a master plan which has got clearly marked zones. The red is the residential zone, yellow is the academic zone, pink is the hostel zone, and green is the green spaces. Though these are zoned like this, there's green spaces everywhere. So each of these zones will see growth, but a very important factor is the fact that we will not increase beyond our current footprint. So that's a very important constraint that we have put on ourselves. This is a plan for the next 15 to 20 years, addresses all aspects. How do we build so that all of the support infrastructure will go along with that? Next slide. Whenever you talk about growth in Madras, the 2 questions that come: do you have water, do you have electricity? And as you can see, we have done a careful plan of how much water we will need from the metro water and what we will take from the ground resources, and this is a plan that has been approved by the government. And also the electricity is a very robust grid that we have, which will be augmented with a 1 megawatt solar plant. As you walk around, you'll see several buildings with the rooftop solar. We will be generating at peak 1 megawatt of power, so that which will be feeding into our own for our own consumption. Next slide. How do we know we are doing good on biodiversity? We do a census periodically to see how the different animal species are doing. And one of the species that we have here is a rare species called the black buck, which almost went to the point of extinction. Numbers in around 12 or so, total number of black buck, which now has rebounded in 2013. It was around 34, and the count is around 34 for 2014 as well. So again, the black buck is doing well. The spotted deer are doing very well. Monkeys are also, unfortunately, also doing well. So all the animal species are surviving and are healthy. So maybe just the quote of Dr. Daniels, who is a wildlife expert. He says, IIT Madras should be showcased as a successful model of coexistence in a forest-like environment. He says this is the only institution where he knows where people and trees, animals all have lived and are doing well in a very balanced fashion. Next slide. We have a very robust campus land. I just want to mention every hostel room is connected to a high-speed LAN, and which is also connected to a internet bandwidth of about 200 megabits per second, which is commercial, and about 1 gigabit per second through the National Knowledge Network. Also, every home on the campus is connected. So again, we have a robust electronic infrastructure. So the next slide. So how will the growth happen? No increased footprint. It has to grow only vertical. So basically, we will have to take down buildings that are not very efficient use of space, ground plus one buildings, and probably if you come back 10 years from now, as you walk along Alumni Avenue, today you would see metrology, chemical engineering, TTML, HTML, all of these will be the ground plus 6 buildings, all of them will be labs. So basically, we'll be increasing the vertical utilization of the space. We are also constantly upgrading, next slide, constantly upgrading our existing facilities. The swimming pool has recently been upgraded. Now it's an Olympic size, 8-lane pool. It was slightly short of Olympic size. Now it is officially Olympic size. And we also have made a accessibility ramp for wheelchair access to the pool. Again, this is something that we consciously have made an effort to do that. Next slide. 17 hostels as of today. Hostel number 18 is Sabarmati, which is basically would add 556 rooms for the ladies. Again, this was is a project that has been completed. Likewise, on the men's side, next slide. We have 2 more hostels are coming up. They would be hostel number 19 and 20. Again, they are in the vicinity, the 2 orange dots that you see extreme left near Krishna and Kaveri hostels. As you walk by, you will see that they're in the final stages of construction. So this is where we are as far as the infrastructure is concerned. Next slide. So IIT Madras is building to grow. We have a new Quark building, Chemistry 2 building, a thematic unit of excellence in water, National Center for Combustion R&D, new academic complex, different stages. So these have been paused because of the Green Tribunal issues, but again, we are very close to getting the clearance to go ahead. New buildings will commence. Also, Director will mention to you that we are in negotiation with the Tamil Nadu government for a second campus, which will be dedicated for primarily for the growth in the research area. If you are an athlete out there, you probably remember Schroeter and all of that. We are very happy to tell you that we are looking at a plan to put the first synthetic track among all the IITs by the year 2050. Next year, intra-IIT, we hope to have a synthetic track and possibly a combination of a basketball come volleyball in a synthetic surface as well. So again, this has been sponsored by one of our athlete alumnus. So again, we're very happy to take up this project. Next slide. So, IIT Madras, changing times, but the pursuit of excellence continues. As the motto of the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute says, from peak to peak. That's how we climb. So, to summarize, it's an exciting period. We are very happy that we are on the frontier, cutting edges of research. We do understand global rankings, and we are carefully monitoring the metrics and are aligning wherever it aligns with our strategic plan. We are making strategic initiatives in those areas, and of course, we will continue to build IIT Madras to meet the needs, but at the same time to preserve the beauty of the campus. So with that, let me wish each of you, next slide, a very happy Alumni Day and welcome home. Thank you very much.